For this video, we're going to look at Microsoft Forms, which is part of Office 365. I've logged in with one of the dummy accounts here. And first thing we want to do is get to Forms. I've gone to office.com and logged in. You'll see that Forms is there. Alternatively, if you're into your email or you're in your OneDrive, you can click on the 9 little boxes in the top left and you should find Forms there. If it's not in the Home section, click on All and you will get an alphabetical list of all the Office 365 apps. And one of those, of course, is Forms. So if we click on there, we'll go to the Forms homepage. So from here, we've got a couple of options, new form or a new quiz. Difference between the two is, think of forms as being kind of questionnaires and surveys. So it's what do people think? And quizzes are what do people know? So for this, we'll do a new form. And this is simply the page you'll get. And it's surprisingly easy how we go from here. So we can put in a title for our form. We can just say training feedback, for instance, and we can enter a little description. What we can also do with forms is either in questions or on little descriptions here. We've got this little icon pops up, which is for an inserting image, so we can insert the image. We can do a search on Bing, so we can say training, and we can just pick one of the images that we see. Alternatively, you can put in an image from your OneDrive account, or you can actually upload one from your computer. This is the same wherever you want to put an image in. For now, we'll just pop that image in there and add. So we can add a question. Now says what type of question do you want to add. So obviously a multiple choice. Text, where people just enter a chunk of text. Rating, where they can give a rating between 1 and 10 or 1 and 5 on how they thought of something. A date, obviously. We've got some more question types as well. We've got a ranking and we've got a Likert, I believe that's pronounced. What we'll do is we'll look at each one in turn. So we'll look at choice. So as you can see, this is a simple multiple choice question. So we can say, did you enjoy the training? And option 1 is yes. Option 2 is no. Multiple answers will obviously allow people to select more than one answer for this option. Obviously, we don't want that. Required means that they can't submit the questionnaire until they've actually answered this question. For this, we're going to say that this is a required question. We can add extra options if we want, or we can add an other option. Other could be things like, if we were to offer more training, what time of day would you like that training to be? Between 10 and midday, between 2 and 4, or other, and give the person the option to put their own answer in. As you can see, we've got some more settings again. So subtitle, if you wanted to add a bit of extra information, you can pop that in there. And of course, shuffle options. By default, everyone will see yes being the first option and no being the second option. If you shuffle the options, they could be in any order. Other things we can do is we can delete the question if we wanted to, or we can copy the question if we wanted to do something similar and simply change the question as opposed to changing all the options, retyping everything in again. So we'll go to add a question and text. So once the question's in, you'll notice that you have an option here which is long answer. Normally the answer is put in a box which is one line. You can click on long answer and it makes the box a little bit bigger and allows people to go into more detail. Required again. Subtitle again, and on this option you've got restrictions. What this does is put restrictions on what the person can enter, so they could enter a number. It could be a number that's greater than, equal to, those sorts of things. For this, we don't want any restrictions. Now if we scroll back up, you'll notice that we've got question 1 and question 2. We can also change the order, so we can move question 2 up to question 1. So as you can see, they've swapped around, or we can move them back. So you can put the questions in any order. We can now do a rating. What did you think of the venue? Obviously, 1 to 5 stars, 1 star being worst, 5 stars being best. You can also change that to 10 if you wanted. And rather than stars, you could have a number. Again, you've got the required options, subtitle, and even a label. So you can say 1 star is worst, 10 stars is best, if you wanted to. A date simply gives the user the option of adding a date. Again, required, and you've got the subtitle option if you wanted it. Ranking. So you can see there, please rank the training in the order you found most useful. And a list comes up. We'll have a look at how this looks for the user in a second, but what this essentially does is allows them to move things up and down and put it into a definitive ranking. Again, we have a required and a subtitle option. And the last one is this Likert. And then we can make our options. We can also, if we want, add extra options, and if we didn't, we can easily click on the option, click on the waste bin, and it will delete it again. And then we can just pop in the statements. Again, you have a required option and a subtitle option. So there's our little form. If we want to see what it looks like, we can click on preview, and this will show you what it will look like from a user's point of view. Because they have to be logged in to Office 365 to use this form, and we'll look at that in a second, it will know I'm logged in as Greg. It was Ronnie Gregg, so it will say my name. Hi Ronnie, when you submit this form, the owner will be able to see your name and email address. And you can see that this is exactly how they will see it themselves when they click on the link that you email to them. This is looking at it on a computer. You can also see how it looks on a mobile. Other things we can do is, before we prepare this, is check the theme. And as you can see, you've got the kind of colour swatches, which Microsoft like very much. And you've got a few fun little backgrounds if you wanted to. And you can also, again, search for your own, upload from OneDrive or upload from your computer. This will just leave it as the nice office background. And we may think that's okay. Our form's ready to go out. So we click on share. And it will say here, only people in my organisation can respond. You can click on that and change it to anyone with the link can respond. If we now look at the preview, it will now say your response is anonymous. So this is the difference. If we change it so only people in my organisation can respond, it's people who have an email address within your organisation. They will have to be logged in, which is fine if you're doing something internally, which for this training feedback questionnaire we are. But alternatively, if you want to get opinions of customers or third parties or anyone outside of the organisation, then it would be anyone with a link can respond. If you then needed to collect their name or their email address, bearing in mind there are data protection issues around that, you'd need to add that as a question and maybe as a required question into the form. So when we're ready to share, it gives us a web address link that anyone with a web browser on, as you could see, mobile phone, computer, whatever, can visit. You can also get a QR code. You can also get some embedding code if you want to put it into a website, or you can click on email. It will open your email program and allow you to email the link. If you wanted to share this with other people so that they can make adjustments, so for instance your manager or a work colleague, you can click on share to collaborate. You will get a link which you will email to them, and they will be able to come in and edit this document and they'll be able to come in and make changes to this form if they wanted to. Or you can share the template so that while they won't be able to make changes to this, they will be able to make a copy of it and build their own questionnaires around it. But for now, we'll just get the link, we'll click on copy, it will say the link is ready for you to paste, and we can send that in an email or an instant message to the other person. What I'm going to do now is fill in this questionnaire as a couple of other people, and then we'll come back and we'll look at what happens with the responses. So I've just filled in the feedback form with a couple of dummy responses. I've logged back in as our Greg, and you'll notice that in the training feedback we have 2 responses. So if we click on there, again we'll get our questions, which we can edit if we wanted to, but we can click on responses. You'll see it'll give us some basic information. We've had 2 responses. The average time to complete was just under a minute. The current status of the questionnaire is active. We can also delete all the responses, print the summary, which is this page that we're about to look at, or create a link for the summary for, say, a manager who wanted to see it. If we just have a look down the summary, we can see both people enjoyed the training. We can see our responses to that question. Now, obviously, if you've got several hundred responses, they don't all list down there, but you can click on more details and it will give you a table which lists all the responses. What did you think of the venue? As you can see there, they thought the venue was okay, so that might be something we can look at when we plan another training session. This is an odd little glitch inside forms when it comes up with a date. It always seems to come up with 0, but if you click more details, you do get the dates. And we can start seeing the orders that people put them in. So you see teams and forms are very much at the top with the other options coming down. When you get a lot of responses here, this can be incredibly useful on just how people rank things. Again, more details will give you an exact layout of what each person said. And again, how useful was each part of the training. You can see that can be helpful in judging what the answers were. What we can also do is open in Excel. It will download an Excel spreadsheet, and when we open it, we can see all the details of what people filled in. You can obviously then use Excel to create averages and then create bar charts and pie charts from the data that's in here if you wanted to. So that is a quick overview of the questionnaire section of Microsoft Forms. And as well as a form to create a questionnaire or survey, we can also do a quiz. As you can see, it's exactly the same layout as it was for the forms, with exactly the same types of questions. But here we have the extra option of being able to create a correct answer and assign points to that. So what I will do is just create a quick quiz and we'll see how that looks. So I've just done a quick maths quiz. So what is 45 plus 45? And it's 90, and I've just labelled the correct answer, and we could have labelled that as anyone. We could also display a message to people who select this answer, so we could say, for instance, but we don't want to give them any clues at this present time. So what is the square root of 25? And what I've done here is put in a text, but I've made a restriction and said it has to be a number, and I've entered the correct answer as being 5 there. Again, we can do the themes. So we'll have a little science lab, and we can share the link. So you could send this quiz to your students. When you get the responses, they will come in. You can open them in Excel, or you will have the summary again here. And that's a brief overview of Microsoft Forms.